Hello, this is Vance, and this is Friday, March the 13th, 2015. These are the CL trades for today using the slow hand method for price action. But it's actually for the 12th, too, for yesterday, for Thursday. And I never get a chance to get on there. I had something to take care of late last night, and by the time I got back, it was just too late to do a report. So I'll do both of the reports today for the last 2 days. As you can see from this chart here, we had a couple down days. Now, let me talk a little bit about, let me take a look at the 1440 chart. I'll swing that over to show you something that I've been talking about early in the week. Now, when you take a look at this chart, I'm showing here this for the April contract. You see that I was talking about it being trading in a range, and as you recall, the last a couple of days back on Wednesday, here was Wednesday, this is Thursday, and this is finally for today, on Friday. But I mentioned the fact that I was expecting that maybe we have a bounce here, like we had this retest and see how things would play out. And this was from Wednesday. But as you can see, when Thursday opened, prices started to move down and continued to move down and really has retested this area, this $45 mark. And if you look at it, we're very close to what the low has been. Let me just kind of squish this together here. This has really been the low for the last number of months. So you can see from the high of back in December, or last September, I mean, from $95, let's say the flat area, we can have this trading way down to here. It really tested 44.27, came up, and now currently we're at 45.18. So we're within less than a buck of where that low was going back into January, so 6 weeks ago. Now, are we going to continue to sell off? Well, I don't. I think as you recall, I was thinking that we're going to be trading in this range. Is this an anomaly for the last couple of days? Is it going to stay down here? Are we going to go further? Are we going to below $40? Don't know. But at the very least, when you see this momentum, especially from Thursday moving down, so let's switch into that. I'll move this over. So you can see here from these last couple of days, this is Thursday. This is when the price opened on Thursday evening. Oil opened on Thursday evening. It traded down. You can see all the way down here, and this is what results in 44.75. That's the low. That's the low currently right now. So it's very close to what the low has been like for the last 4 or 5 years. Anyway, let me take a look at Thursday, and I'll just do this very briefly. Anytime you have this type of momentum down, typically you want to take a look at shorts most of the time, especially, off of the morning, you don't know where the price is going to bounce, so you try to look for double bottoms, you look for those tight trading ranges, but really off of yesterday morning, when price started to trade down, there really wasn't anywhere to come back in or to look on the opposite side, except perhaps right down here. Now, you don't have this chart, you've got this channel in here, and I was saying here, this is really like, it's a second entry long right from here. There's your first entry, pull back, second entry long. It wasn't a bad trade. I marked it in green. It was off this double bottom. I thought we were kind of on the low side. It did work its way out, but then it went into this overlap very quickly. So if you didn't get out of this trade pretty quickly, and I mean right at this, when it comes back like that, you probably should look at closing it out. Marked it in green. Then we had this sideways motion. It was really capitulation, and when it moved over, it didn't hold on to the EMA, and you can see after this move, you got to expect, or you think you have to expect, at least another measured move down. So you have this measured move. It really doesn't come back. It doesn't recover very quickly. You can see this sideways, and then it sells off again. So anytime you have this type of movement early on, you should try to stick with that trend and heading in the downward direction. You see that we went into maybe this capitulation with a little bit of these tight trading ranges here. Again, price comes back up to this area, and there's another opportunity again to sell off off the top of this channel. And this is my 15 tick stop box right here. So anytime price comes up here, you want to sell off anytime you get an opportunity to buy off of strong bars like this one. It's challenging because there's not a lot of room to get out to these double tops. So when you look at it from the perspective why sales more than anything else is because where the double bottoms are, you have more than your 15 ticks to get off your first targets. In this reversal, this particular target here, it's a very strong bar. It's more than 15 ticks. Your 15 ticks you would like to get is more than a 15 tick, but it's a strong bar. To get up to where this top is, even though there's not a lot of room. That's why I marked it in green. So it does work out. You can see that you get your 15 ticks off. But right here, the hesitation, up the first pullback here, pulled back again, and then this is really a failure. You can see the capitulation and ultimately failed. Now, I've got this one marked in this color right here, and the reason I marked this one is that I was looking for this channel to be broken and maybe some support. Now, this is later in the day. This is close to 2 o'clock. And so I was looking at maybe a bounce like we've had experience here, here, and then at this area. So I was really conscious of this area. But I want to show what essentially happened. I was waiting for a bar to go to the long side, thinking that, it would be a strong bar. And it didn't break. You can see what happened is that right immediately, this was a major failure. So this is really, to put a buy in here blindly would have resulted in a loss. The reason I was looking at it, the reason I marked this one out like this, is that you really need to see whether this channel is breaking and then test to this area again before you would look at price maybe going higher, some type of capitulation. But we didn't get that. What we did is that waiting on this bar to close, we did have this little bit of a doji, so there was hesitation here. Some buyers did step in. We had this bar that closed here. So if you got in on here, anticipation, or even bought down here with the idea that it would be heading up in this direction, it would have been too early, and it broke down even lower. The same is true down here. You can see near the end of the day, but this is after 2 o'clock. It's getting too close to the close. We went this sideways motion, pretty tight trading range, and we didn't really have any momentum, even in the overnight, to go higher. So let's bring it to today. Hope that's they don't go too quickly. This is like on the overnight. When we look at, let's see here, for today, this is really at this is early this morning. This is this is at 7 o'clock, and down here is just about 9 o'clock. So you can see that in the overnight, we had a measured move. Price moved down lower. It really kind of rebounded a little bit. Where are you looking at from this perspective? Now, remember what I said about the 1440 chart. I was suggesting that if you swing this chart over here and said from a daily basis, that's saying that in here, let me just make this bigger. I was saying that on this chart, this is where the open is, so we're probably right around, let's see, to compare it, near the open, 46.19. So we're down to here already, 46, let's just move that over. We're down to 46.19 near the open. And so on this chart, this is where we are, 46.19 right here. Okay, that's how far down we are. What I was talking about is that because of this Thursday's movement, what we have to look at is that, are we going to turn around and head back up this way? But when you look at how strong it is, we haven't broken this channel on this larger chart. So if we're looking at it from that perspective, you really need to think that buying at this area is really is too much of a leap of faith, particularly when we have this strong downward bias. So I was looking for shorts more than anything else. You can see that as price came up here, you can see that it comes up quickly and then it starts to sell off. Comes up quickly again, starts to sell off. Comes up quickly again, and then finally the sellers really took control and drove price down even lower. Anytime price pulled back to the EMA, take a look at going short, but again using the 15-tick stop box and keeping your in limit orders above this area as much as you can. This is a little bit more aggressive. I probably should have marked this in green because it doesn't give you room to get out. These ones here, in order to keep your target near this bottom, you want to get in so that your stop is above the most recent price action, but more importantly, that your target is above where this previous low was, or equidistant or above this previous low. So in this case, you have room to get out on those 15 ticks, and so that's where you want to be, especially on any of these ones. Now, there isn't really a lot of momentum here. You can see price came up here, failed, came up again. This is really this is a second entry short, but again, this is because it's near the top of these bars. I think that it's a reasonable trade to look out, especially just to get your 15 ticks. But then with the idea that we may be on another leg of this measured move here. So we're looking at something perhaps like this. You can see prices pulled back at any of these areas, and you can see that when price finally failed, it went down there and even extended further down. So measured move within a measured move. We had this first move down. We had the first pullback, failed. Second pullback took a little time to move out, and then down to here. And then you see a little bit more capitulation. Did take a little more time to move out from this area. Now, no real place to get in here. We do have a turnaround. I marked this one that if you're a very aggressive trader looking at, because there's some capitulation here, if you could buy in limit order here, you might give you some room to get to these tops. And you can see that there would have been some room to get before these double tops, but you had to lay in a limit order here. And then finally, toward the end of the day, this is more afternoon. You can see a failure here. Again, prices really went into a range bound. You can see the drops. Look at the drops that we had here. We had this drop down here. It pulls back a little bit. Another drop, tries to pull back a little bit, and then again moving its way down. So most of today was a downward bias. I didn't really mark these ones, as far as trades were concerned, but certainly, like where do you get in? I mean, here I'm looking at. You have to keep your stop above these areas. There wasn't really a break of this channel, and when it did finally break, there's really no place to get into on this trade. Pulls back up to here. You might have taken a trade here based on the fact that it's off of this one. It's like a second entry short, but this is really at 2 o'clock, and it would have worked, but again, a pretty aggressive trade. Thing is that you need to really be on these ones up here as far as selling at these levels here. This is kind of late in the day. We could have, as we get to the end of the day, we could have that turnaround and maybe kind of some of that recovery, and we don't quite have that right now. It kind of stopped at this point because after it's close to 4 o'clock now, so that's pretty much it. But I hope this helps. If there's any questions that you have, I just did a real quick run through as far as this is concerned, as far as the trades for today. This is Vince. Bye for now.